What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and you are listening to the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And before we jump into the podcast today, I'd love for you to check out my band, Run With It. Here's a clip from our song, On Your Own.
On your own, on your own, nobody ever makes it on their own. All alone, well, my son, you'll never be all alone. There's a song deep in your heart. It's like a raging lion. It's gonna tear you apart. There's a song deep in your soul. It's gonna start a fire. So let the winds blow.
If you like what you heard, make sure you check us out at Run With It Band. At Run With It Band, everywhere you follow people at, or go to runwithitband.net. It'll take you to all the different links you want to go to, and there'll be a little button you can click for booking information. Now for today's podcast. Today's podcast guest is Daniel Owen. Daniel is an independent spoken word artist and songwriter. He passionately creates music and writes songs reflecting his life experiences, often collaborating with musicians globally. In addition to his musical pursuits, Daniel organizes benefit concerts in Kansas City to support various charitable causes. He also leads the Best Buddies Citizens chapter in KC, facilitating events and fostering friendships among young adults with disabilities through social activities like dining out, going to movies, and hanging out together. It's a great episode. Enjoy.
The Live and Create podcast.
Doing that. But so you're doing the DJ world, going to school, and then you're back here in Kansas City now.
Yeah.
And doing spoken word, doing music. Yeah, it's funny, like earlier you said you don't do much, but in reality you do spoken word, you do music, you're promoting concerts, and you're also part of like charities and helping other people a lot. So it actually sounds like you are a pretty busy person.
Well,
right now. Sorry about that.
I mean, people say, "Oh, you do a lot," and I said, "Yeah, but I don't do that much. I mean, I don't have it. I don't get up and go everywhere. It's all on this computer."
Right. Making things happen from the home. Well, and I know when you were out in Delaware, you were a bit more mobile at that point.
Yeah.
Right. And then coming back here to Kansas City, I know you've had some struggles in health, those kind of things. What drives you to continue to do these things, even though, like you said, a lot of times now you're in the house, but obviously you have this drive. Where's that drive come from to keep creating and to keep doing things to better other people's lives?
I guess, well, when I was in college, did Best Buddies, and that kind of made me want to do more with it and bring it back here in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And that took me forever to figure it out. So I had to contact some people from Delaware to get things going over here. And then they didn't have a chapter at the time. So I had to do a eBuddy for a year. And I didn't really care for that. But, I mean, that's what I had to do. Just emailing back and forth.
Now, for the listener,
What?
For the listener, could you break down what Best Buddies is, like what that program is, what they do, what you do in it?
So Best Buddies is like a place, college has a chapter that you meet people, like you have an older buddy that, you do things with. Like go to events, go to the movies, hang out, and then like we did so many cool events when I was in Delaware. I mean, we went to the pumpkin patch where the apples and the pumpkins were, or did just so many cool things in the night, or go to a lot of, I don't know, different kind of things. But But in Kansas City, it's just a group of people just hanging out and just doing things. And we just did a Friendsgiving this November, and then we did bowling. Went to this really cool bowling alley that I kind of picked out. And then this Sunday, we're going to Union Station to see the lights and the trees.
Nice. So essentially, it's just to provide support for people. I think you had sent a piece to it because I was trying to wrap my mind fully what it was. It provides support for people with different disabilities. Is it physical disabilities, mental disabilities, or all around?
All around. So you have people that are mostly it's like citizens. So citizens is just like 18 to how old you are for old people. So,
And I think, well, and when we were out there, which that was when I'll never forget because being in Delaware, you guys introduced me to Deadpool, which has now become one of my favorite series of all time.
geez.
And like when you all found out I had not watched the whole band, they're like, "You haven't watched Deadpool?" And you're like, "You haven't." Like, and so yeah, but I think was it one of the people from the program? Would he be called your best buddy?
I was living.
What there was a guy who came to hang.
Yeah, he came to the radio station. He was my co-host, and then I had
Gotcha, and then popped over to the house.
and
to watch.
then my roommate that was living with me at the time, Zach, he lived with me.
Mm-hmm.
That I brought
Okay.
around. I just dragged out of the house and brought him to this.
You're like, yeah,
You
bro,
just had
you gotta
have
go
to
do something. You gotta do stuff.
But but I don't talk to him
Now for you,
anymore. But
just kind of lost touch.
just have some issues. College issues.
I got you.
He's kind of pain.
It's how life
He's a
goes
pain in the
sometimes.
butt, but what you gotta do.
What are you gonna do? So in Delaware, it sounded like you were a recipient of the Best Buddies program, right?
Kind of.
Or were you also a best buddy for other people? What did that look like
other
for you?
people. I mean, I had the greatest time being a part of it in Delaware. I was there about 3 years till I left to go back to Kansas City.
Uh-huh.
But now that
and what did it look like for you to convince them to bring it to Kansas City?
well, I guess I was like the talkative person. I guess I was really proud of what I've done there to bring it back here.
Right.
And I kind of made it the process of bringing it back here. There is so many people that were in charge, like the leaders. And then last year we had one of my friends that we started it here, and then she left. And then there's another person that came into Kansas City and was a part of it as a leader. And then there was another girl that was also a part of it, and they left. And then I took over, and then I became champion of the year because I drew so much money for the chapter. And that happened last year at the gala.
So you're like a monster fundraiser, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I am. I know how to stack some cash from other people. After the podcast, I have to get your advice so I can be better at raising funds myself. That's brilliant, though. With that as well, right? So working on Best Buddies, bringing them from Delaware, and it sounds like in a way thrusted into leadership, and then doing incredible with it now. What do you hope to see over 2025 for Best Buddies?
I want it to grow more. We only have 10 people in the group now. I want them to have peers for each person in the group, because it's
so then
that will help the parents to go away, because it's not for the parents, it's for the kids, the young adults.
Right.
So, and most of the people right now don't drive, so that's their way to get to the event.
Right. Well, and what I found too with young adults in general, my oldest is 20 now, so we've gone through the high school years, early 20s. My second oldest is 15. It's like they reach a point where, like, yes, we have a good relationship, but it's like they want to be able to connect with other people who aren't their parents. And it's like they almost feel like, my observation is it's like they need us to step away so they can kind of explore and understand more of who they are individually as well. So I could see why that'd be a benefit. That's for sure.
I mean, it's a great program. They have it all over the country. They have like they also do the friendship walk, and you grow money for that, and then you get prizes from how much you raise, and then we sort of do a big event in Kansas City or Lawrence, and then they kind of
Mm-hmm.
and then we just have the community come and support each of the chapter and how much you raise, and there's like donuts and whatever, coffee and stuff.
Hey, I'm always in for donuts, bro. I just had a donut earlier today.
So it's fun.
Yeah, I'm all about that. So the working with Best Buddies, and obviously doing a really great job there. And I remember you reached out to me a while back about concerts. I think it was your first concert that you were working on, but it sounds like now you're getting into like concert promotion, but with a focus of charitable organizations, right? What inspired you to step into that realm as well?
Well, when I was in high school, I did a couple of I didn't do benefit concerts, but I did just booked bands around Kansas City to see how I like about it. I kind of stopped it because it was not making me money. I was losing money at the time. So I said, this is not what I want to do. I mean, I wanted a job when I left high school, but I just felt like I needed to just find something else that I was interested in. So I started making the website, and then when I did the booking for the website, I kind of said nobody's really coming to this website, so I'm gonna do it on my own self.
Mm-hmm. So the website, that was part of what you were doing in high school, and you continued it on when you left?
No,
And then realized?
I started after.
I gotcha. Now, is that so? Basically, after you realized that the website wasn't quite working, you just decided, if I understand you correctly, excuse me, you decided to just start going one-to-one and doing these events. Right on. Now, the tie-in with charity and music, what was the first charity that you guys worked with when you did the first concert?
I did it for Haiti.
Okay. How long ago was that?
Yeah,
That was within the last year, wasn't it? Or 2 years
that
ago?
was way but in the 2000s.
For some reason, I thought you just kicked that up. Like you just started doing the charity concerts.
No, I did that before.
I'm way off, man.
Before going to college, I had a couple already out. So I did one for Haiti.
I didn't realize those were charity based. Okay, I got you.
Then they got a little bit, and then I kind of got into doing more. Like I did one for Jeff Buckley in Kansas City. I got hold of his team, and they got in contact with me somehow.
That's pretty badass.
I mean, that was a fun event. And what else I do? One for Save the Music Foundation for VH1.
Nice. So it sounds like you are kind of a fearless person. You're just going to step out and reach out to whoever you need to do whatever you need to do. Am I reading that right?
I mean, it's hard to find these bands that be interested in just doing a benefit concert because you're not making money, but you're giving the money to a good cause.
Right. For you, this fearlessness, this idea of like, I love that tenacity where you're just like, I'm just going to figure out how to get Jeff Buckley. Let's just figure that out. Is that something that you've always had since you were young, or is that something you feel like you developed as you went through high school, early college?
I felt like I mostly loved the music in the first beginning when I was little. I listened to a lot of art like REM, Nirvana, just so many.
It's good stuff.
And it's incredible because there's a song that's coming out on the EP or the album, and I am very excited about that one because it's a song that I wrote, and it's mostly about growing up when I was in the 1988 or something. So it just like tells a story about the when I'm just sitting in the car listening to REM or Nirvana for so many times.
Nice. So from that young age, like obviously you're inspired by it, were you already starting to write and like capture things, like record into your phone, those kind of things, even when you're young?
I kind of started writing when I was in high school, and I did have a couple of friends that kind of helped me with some of the songs, but kind of wanted to have a band when I was
Well, in collaboration,
collaborations.
you what? Sorry about that.
Collaborations came along like nowadays, but I haven't
Yeah.
really made that kind of stop yet. At that time, I was like, oh, what is
Yeah.
these people gonna say? No, or ask me? I have to give them money to play with me.
You're like, what's the deal? Where's the contracts? How's this working?
Yeah. Oh my god.
But that theme of collaboration, you know, learning about your music and learning about what you do, it seems like you like to partner with other people to create things. Even saw like Amble Haunt is a band that I've been starting to follow online. I and seeing that you got a collaboration with one of their members as well. That's pretty cool. And to know that even in high school, as you started writing, you're writing with other people. Where does that passion to collaborate with other artists come from?
I mean, I just love what I love. Just I feel like collabing with people when it gets different. Like most of the songs I write are just mostly about my life, but it's just like I kind of do what I do, and it just happens.
So with that, as you're writing, do you get like an idea like, ooh, this artist, I should reach out to them to help? Or is it other artists reaching out to you?
No,
like looking for
I'm
collaboration?
I'm looking for them. They're not looking for me.
You're hunting people down.
Yeah. Well, I listened to their stuff, and they said I think this is the feel I want to go through, and I kind of put it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I've been collaborating when I was in college too, but with one guy, Connor Morgan, he did that full length album for me, and I kind of I told him that what I want the song to feel like, and he went all through it, and I just did the lyrics and the singing, and then he did just the music in the backgrounds. It came out great.
Well, and I know you have a passion for spoken word as well. Do you primarily write lyrics, or are you doing the music piece as well and contributing there? What's that look like?
They do the music, I do the lyrics and the songs.
Okay. So that's the deal.
Yeah, that's the deal. That's the deal. I mean, I used to play the guitar. I used to play the drums. You know, I haven't practiced in a while. I mean, I know some chords, but that's about it.
So you're like, yeah, I'm going to focus on the lyrics. That's what
yeah.
I'll do. So that's what we'll say.
It's hard.
When you're writing,
it's hard writing lyrics. It comes to me once in a while. I mean, I do have brain farts, but I mean that's when some.
don't we all?
I mean, like one song that came from my dreams. I wrote that song that night, and then got it done that quick, and then I had to send it.
That's pretty cool.
I had to send it to somebody to say if it was good or not. So, and it was so.
And they gave it a stamp. Yeah. They said, "We're good, bro."
You need to.
What song is that? Which one is that?
That one is called "Dream," and it's about. It's mostly a love. It's about a love story.
That's awesome, man. The concept of dream songs, I'm always hoping for one of those. I don't know if I've ever had one yet. Maybe that's why I haven't sold enough music yet.
Oh my god.
I need to start taking some melatonin.
I mean,
and put in 10 hours or something. See what happens.
I don't know. I mean, I have some good songs and I have some bad songs, but I'm putting them all out there for everyone to see what they think.
Well, and it seems like that is the process. Really, you know, Caleb Geronimo is a former guest of the podcast. His episode dropped just a few weeks ago, And when we talked about that question that we'll eventually get to later in the podcast, how would you define creating great things? He was like, creating great things is basically creating a bunch of little shitty things until you find the good things. It's like every single one of those pieces, even though it may not be good, it gets you learn a skill, you gain a tool. Like our song, I say it so many times on the podcast, but that EP, How to Start a Fire, that has I Need a Light on it, all that, I wrote 60 songs for that EP, and only 6 of them made it on that EP. And the rest of them, however many was left, because I'm bad at math, I'm not going to try at the moment, but however many were left, they're gone, And I think for one of our EPs, I wrote 100 songs and we chose 5. And the 2 we put out this past year, I think I wrote 30 or 40. But we're shifting to more of a style like you're talking about, where in 2025, the notion is, what does it look like to put more and more music out and just start launching them? And we may not put everything out depending on like if it passes our, our litmus test along the way. But I really think getting those reps in is where we grow as artists. And you got to accept that sometimes when you let that baby be born, it's just going to be an ugly baby, and you're like, and then you'll go find the cute ones you want to keep around.
Yeah. I mean, most of the songs the good ones are on Spotify, but some of them, the newer ones are. There's another new song that hasn't been released, and it's in the works of coming out. So, I mean,
Nice.
And I wanted that one to be on the album, but I kind of said, it's not there yet. So it will be there when it comes out.
Yeah.
But Pieces of My Soul,
not ready.
Pieces of My Soul came out and it got aired about 3 times on KKFI. I was very impressed in that song.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. The folks there, was that with Mark Manning, or who were you with? What DJ at KK?
So many. I can't. You have Todd, then you have, I think, another guy. I forget his name now. But there is.
Yeah, they got a lot of great DJs up there.
But
they're a cool organization.
But then I got the whole family to listen to it across the states. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. Love it. As far as digging into the writing, what does your process look like? Because I'm guessing you don't get all of your songs in a dream and then wake up and write it. So what's your daily routine, your daily process look like to write and come up with these lyrics and come up with the stories?
It's a process, but I mean, there's some songs that when I was in a hospital, I wrote a couple. And then mostly when I was in Delaware, I wrote like half of them. And then I kind of rewrote them again and rewrote them to get them better. And then I wanted to do a acoustic. Most of those new songs are acoustic, and they're coming out on my birthday in January. I'm very excited.
There you go. Starting off 2025 strong.
Yeah. But I mean, the process of writing a song, I would say it takes me forever to find the right words for one perfect song, but
yeah,
it's.
Now, are you sending that as you write like a draft? Do you send it frequently to other people that you trust to get feedback? Because I know it sounded like you referenced doing that a little bit. Is that a regular thing you do with your writing?
No, I haven't done it in a while, but that was like only the one thing.
Oh, but, okay.
I mean, I normally write on my phone, and then I should do it more. But.
Yeah, no. Well, and luckily, like being in a band for us, it's like the feedback is kind of built in. You got 5 guys who are all willing to tell each other, "Nah, that sucks. You could do better," and it does help. That's for sure. Then we do have other people. We have one guy, Josh Glee, we work with as a producer. We'll bounce ideas off of him. And now I'm even actually part of an online community of producers where getting feedback. Like I just uploaded a track recently, and they had really good feedback, good things. And like, hey, if you change this and this, I think you have something that's really good or really impactful or really marketable, that kind of thing. That feedback's really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of.
Now, in all all the writing, you know,
Mhm.
doing charity concerts and working with Best Buddies. I don't want to forget to talk about the fact that you also have a
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
as
I have
well.
several. Yeah.
You have several. I didn't know you had several,
Yeah.
but you're not busy. You're
Well,
not busy at all.
I, it's hard. I mean, I have several. Yes, I have several podcasts. I don't have a job. I work from home. I'm scared to get a job, but I mean,
What makes you scared to get a job?
because I'm in a wheelchair and it's hard to move around. And I don't want to have a work that I don't want to work in front of a desk. I already do that at home.
Like, why would I go somewhere else to sit in front of a desk?
Yeah, yeah. Well, a table, but not a desk, but a table, but But it's interviews are a lot of work to book them. You have to find the right people that are
Yes.
interested. And some of them are scared to be online um I'm just very excited for one guy in the sound system because I changed the name. This
Because there's only one
Yeah,
guy now, not
it's
two guys
yeah,
in a sound
yeah,
system.
yeah. I changed the name. I thought it was kind of much better because my best friend doesn't come on the podcast anymore. He has his own life.
Gotcha. So it's switched to one guy in a sound system.
Yeah,
And it seems like you do a lot of interviews with other artists. I know I was part of it, which is
yeah,
cool. Thank you for bringing me on there. And just tracing back as you explained all the way back to when you're younger, listening to REM, listening to Nirvana, seems like music is a very core part of who you are.
mm,
And I'm curious, like, is that something like your parents instilled in you, or were there friends around you at the time that help expose you
all
to
those.
these different musical genres and this passion?
Most of it is my uncle because I used to live in New Jersey,
Okay.
and he used to play REM in the car or Nirvana. I mean, the whole car was like, I know, just going to a concert. I mean, it felt like because you had so many music in the house. You had the guitars playing, and then my mom came along and she talked about the Beatles. So the Beatles were mostly talked about in the house when I was younger.
Okay.
I mean, she had the whole.
She took you way back
She
to the
had
beginning of pop
she
music.
had everything with that when she was younger. So I mean, she had the shoes for it. I guess. I guess the Beatles shoes or whatever. Something.
There's Beatles shoes. I didn't know about that.
I mean, there is so much things about the Beatles. It's crazy. I guess I love music. It's something I've been in love with music since I was a kid.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. Thinking about those people, I like to think about the people that helped introduce me to music. Like for my parents, I remember like it was like Michael Jackson when I was 3, like the Thriller album, and it was funny. Like Thriller album was actually scary to me because the video that came out at the time when I was 3 years old, I saw the video. And have you seen the video for Thriller? I'm guessing you have. I feel like most
Yeah.
people have. And I didn't know if I'm dating myself at this point for how old I am. But when that came out, it's like zombies and werewolves. So it scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God. So as a 3-year-old, whenever it'd come on at first, I would just run to turn off the stereo. But over like 4 or 5, like they just kept playing Michael Jackson in the house because I guess they loved it. And it's like that pop music just started like, just connecting all the dots in my brain that eventually led me to have a career in music, which is, it's fun for me to trace it back. Think about, for you in the car with your uncle with some great music, by the way, REM.
Like
and
it's
Nirvana.
mostly been the whole in the car. Every time I'm driving, the whole family's in the car listening to Nirvana. There's the fun. It just that's the only thing we would be listening to Nirvana or the soundtrack. So
That's awesome, man. What else are you looking forward to in 2025 as you drop this acoustic album? You said, I think in January, right? And then you got about 100 podcasts going, like in the midst of doing a bunch of shows. Like I'm just
all
messing
right.
with
Well, I do have a lot of podcasts. I'll give you some names. So I have one guy in a sound system that I interview a lot of musicians and singer-songwriters all around the world. I've been interviewing like Shannon Beck used to do it when I was in high school. I used to have a podcast called Tuna World's Off the Radio show, and then I don't do that anymore. But I used to interview her from um, Pete Diddy's band back in the day.
Nice.
But then I have uncles in fatherhood, and I talk to dads all around the world, just learning about fatherhood, and I love doing that. And then I have my collusion Casey, and I talk to a lot of cool people in the world, like Miss Missouri and Miss Kansas, all those princesses that come. I mean, I just like to talk to people, just learning about their stories.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Now the one with the fathers podcast, uncles and fathers, like for you, does that just the passion there about fatherhood, about investing in kids, does that come from being an uncle, or does that come from like a desire to be a dad, those kind of things? Where does that that drive come from?
I always want to have a kid one day, but I can't have kids. But I don't want to go in that story. But besides that, I want to adopt, and that's all I wanted to do for the rest of my career. Well, hopefully, I can have a child one day, but that's a dream. But
that's awesome.
I don't know. But I just like learn.
So for now, you're just soaking up as much wisdom as you can from fathers across the land.
Yeah. Everyone has a story to tell. It's kind of interesting.
That is true. So true, man. Well, as far as the last two questions of the podcast, let's jump into those right now. For you, right now, how would you define living a great life?
Well, being alive.
What's that mean to you, to be alive?
Well, being healthy is the most part, and getting around. I mean, yeah, I'm in the wheelchair, but I can get around all right. But it's kind of tough. But life as
the extra challenges of it.
I'm living my life as I can. I wish I could be walking again, but it's going to take me a little longer to do that.
Are they doing rehab, that kind of stuff with you? It's just a long journey.
And the funny thing is, a couple of weeks ago, me and my sister and my mom went to a gala in Kansas City, and I met a really famous person there. And he has a mission in Kansas City called Disabled But Not Really. And he has a gym for people with...
I like that title.
He has a gym for people with disabilities, and just a gym just to get much better and for walking and such. So I was thinking, well,
that's
maybe
awesome.
I should join it.
Hell yeah. Time to jump in on that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that you're in that process of trying to get back on your feet and you meet someone like that. That's really cool. Well, for the last question of the podcast, right now in your life, how would you define creating great things?
I guess I want to do more. I guess, I don't know. It's a hard question to ask, but I guess I would say I want to do more things I can do, but I don't know.
So more music, more podcasts, more concerts, just not sitting at someone else's desk.
Yeah. It's like when I need to make something happen. I mean, I love creating things. I want to do more in life.
Yeah. When you say something happen, want to make something happen, is there a particular result you're looking for out of it? Like either financial or impact? Is there some kind of thing that would define, like, if this happened, I would feel like I did that something more?
I mean, I feel like there's always something I can do, and it can happen. Just don't know when it will happen.
Right. Find that patience in there.
Yeah. I would love to do something great in this world and make it a better place for people with disabilities. That's all I want in Kansas City.
Well, it sounds like you're on that track. That's for sure. Like putting out your own art that can impact people, and then also like hands-on with the best buddies. Sounds like you're already building that quite well.
Yeah, but we need to get into music venues. That's the problem.
What do you mean by that?
There's not, these music venues in Kansas City are falling apart. They don't have a lot of like the bathrooms are ridiculous, and they're not.
As far as like
Yeah.
accessibility. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. Go on with that. I was just trying to make sure I'm tracking with you.
Bathrooms are ridiculous. I can't even get my wheelchair into some of these bathrooms in the music venues. There's like the mini bar. I would love to go to a mini bar, but I can't get up there because they don't have one of those chairs. Yeah. I know one of them.
Yeah, hell, I can barely get up. I can barely get up there with how thin the stairwell is. It's a cool venue being up there, but yeah, like I could see that. Because I've never been in a wheelchair, I've never really processed like, yeah, how would someone get up?
I mean, there was another, I think the ship or something. They were talking about they had one in the back. I mean, that would be great, but I was gonna go there. Then I said, no, I'm just gonna stay home. I don't want to deal with all the craziness. But it would be nice if there was more.
So, from your
it would be nice if there was more venues that were more more control of other people with disabilities, because it's ridiculous. I mean, the record bar is totally fine. It's just because it's one level,
right?
But having
and pretty wide open. If I remember right, their bathrooms are pretty wide.
That's one of my favorite one of my favorite places to go. It's the record bar because it's much. It's
bringing a lot of great acts.
It's close. I mean, it doesn't have any problems of being in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some really cool venues in Kansas City, but they're not here anymore. But they're all taken away. Like the Walnut Club, that was a great venue back in the day.
I remember Tank Room seemed pretty. If I like going through what Tank Room was, it probably was pretty accessible, would be my guess. But yeah, that's something I just never really processed on my own for that. And if it sounds like it's not just about having accessibility, but kind of like you described with the ship, where they have accessibility, but you have to like go through this special like door. And is it a sense of wanting to have accessibility, but to not feel like you have to go through like the kitchen to get there kind of deal?
You just want to be like where everybody else.
Yeah. Instead of being singled out.
Yeah. That's
huge. That's really, I've never thought about that. Well, as we wrap up, let people know how they can connect with you, or the best place to go to find like your podcast, find your music. I don't know if it's your Instagram or what it would be, or do you have a website that's got everything on there?
If you can go to you can go to my Instagram for my solo music is just Daniel Owen Music. And then for Uncles and Fatherhood, you can go to Uncles and Fatherhood on Instagram. And then, or if you know me, you can follow me on Facebook. That's where everything is. So
there you go. Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for making the time, man.
You're welcome.
What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and you are listening to the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And before we jump into the podcast, I'd love for you to check out my band, Run With It. Here is a clip from our song, Time.
You left your scars, hope was there, I gave her my heart, hope, take me in your arms, I see the path, but it seems so far.
If you like what you heard, make sure you check us out at Run With It Band, at Run With It Band, everywhere you follow people at, or go to runwithitband.net. It'll take you to all the different links you want to go to, and there'll be a little button you can click for booking information. Now for today's podcast.